So we're kind of informally live right now. We'll roll the show out formally in just a second.
Okay.
Let's see here. 1 second here. All right. Okay. Give people time to get into.
Sure.
This is our 4th show today.
Yeah. So I was gonna send you some vibrational healing anyway. So at some point.
Oh,
we'll
yeah?
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, you
you'll
can do
actually
that.
feel the vibration through your earbuds. I think that the earbuds it may hurt your ears though. So just you can put it right on your cheeks there and feel it through your sacral. And,
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, cranial. Yeah, you could feel it all through heart chakra and cranial.
All right, let's see here. Okay, we got 10 people. Looks like 10 people are in on that screen. Let's see about this other screen. 20 people.
So we're not live yet?
No, we are live. We've been live. Yeah. Sound is good. Okay. Gabrielle's back. Got a nice note from her the other day. Thank you very much. Christy Kleckler, Judy Ridley Kennedy, Kathy Wildowski's back. Laurel Gale, thank you. Jenny Smith, Christina Love, Maureen Peterson from New Jersey, Tony Lowe, Shannon McMillan Thompson, Emily Madison's in the house. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the shares. If these shows resonate, please share. This is our 4th episode of Soul Speaks 5D today. So we've got some good shows in quantity, 3 to 4 day, lining up through Tuesday. So we're going to make a little charge and then take Wednesday, do one on Wednesday and take a break the rest of that day. So, we've got a special guest today. This just occurred. This is the way I like it. Mae Swigert. She's been hanging out, kind of quiet, but always there. And then she got a little amplified today and said it's time, which is music to my ears because, I was told a long time ago by my partner, this is what's going to happen. And now people say it's time I need to step up. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't have all the, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I just had a Hawaiian volcano pepper, and so I'm a little bit amped up. I don't remember everything that you wrote to me. I remember, I do. It's coming back. 1996 onward, you do a special type of healing, 4 to 6 people a year. Mm-hmm. Based on the message I got, it sounded like you've been awake a lot longer than 1996. But maybe we can start there and just give us a little background on that.
Sure. Well, let's take it back just 2 more years. In 1994, I was kind of at the point of life where most people get, in a sense of not most people, truth seekers, people who look for, they're looking for peace and their expansion and love, and they're waking up. And some are waking up way more now. I mean, we have teachers, scribing, housewives getting up and writing books, and, atheists chanting. The whole world is waking up. I mean, you can't stop it. And I mean, the Great Awakening is happening. But 1994, I wanted to leave planet Earth. And, in 94, I was lost, in the booze and in the bottle. And then, an intuition, a thought not of my own had come over me in 94. And that was, you have work to do. Get up. Just get up and knock it off. And I proceeded to, it took me 2 years to fully wrap my head around that. That's why I call it 96, because that's when I began my truth seeking and spreading of love and helping others. Just, when you're laying on the floor of life and you're in the gutter and depression and anxiety and everything's just talking to you at once, and you got that committee and you have no solution yet and you haven't been awakened, it can feel like the weight of the world and there's no other way. My birthday's coming up, and how Facebook always asks you what do you want to do donations for? So now I put up the National Suicide Prevention because, too many good folks are leaving Earth, and it's just, they don't understand they have a higher calling, man. How you ascend is, I mean, most people who have ascended have been through traumatic or catatonic events in their life that actually catapulted them into the fifth dimension of existence. And that's kind of how it happened for me. You know, I was catapulted, you know, from 3D to 5D. And, you know, it was a complete surrender to be like, you know, source, you take it, everything, you know, and it's like when you're doing mantras or chanting and praying, you know, after you awaken, and, you know, for a while you feel like you're talking into a garbage can, so to speak. And,
yeah,
you know, that you're not hearing anything back. But the truth is that it's out there. And once you plug in the source, anything is possible. So in 94, you know, it began to creep in. And in 96, you know, I basically said that, you know, I knew that there was no higher purpose than love and service, and to help others, and to, you know, help others, you know, God's kids, Allah's kids. It doesn't really matter. In 20, it's 24 years ago now that I started my journey. In 24 years, you know, I've studied a lot of the great enlightened ones. And that's what we're here to talk about, like love in action, and how that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
So that's what happened to me. I was just catapulted. I prayed to a deity I didn't believe in that gave me results beyond my wildest dreams in like nanospeed.
Wow.
I wanted to die, and then all of a sudden I wanted to live. And not only did I want to live, I wanted to tell others, you're going to be okay. It's going to freaking pass. You're worth it. It's all worth it. And I was filled with love, just coming out. And it's been happening for 24 years, man. So,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Love in action. So did you immediately come into a knowing of this special type of healing you do?
No, not necessarily. I was guided by two spiritual advisors. One would always, he'll remain anonymous because that's how he does his work. And the other one is Kanjag Jinpa. And he's a Buddhist monk. And I came to them by the way of grace. And that's all I can tell you is it's grace. I started to take actions that I didn't believe in. And the reason I give myself a 2-year leadway there is because if you have, you know, if you have 3 different guides and spiritual advisors and you're reading 6 different books, you're not doing anything but intellectually seizing. And self-help books will only help you if you study them one at a time. But if you're scattered, you can't put love in action. You can't put anything in action. So if you take, you know, like laser focus, like you know, like the sun, and you take a magnifying glass and you hold it steady in the sunlight in a piece of paper, it's going to burn a hole through the paper. We learned that as kids. Okay. So you take that magnifying glass and you move it all over the place on the paper. The sun's still hitting it, but it's not going to burn a hole because there's no focus and there's no discipline. Right. And by becoming disciplined and practicing certain things, you know, freedom is possible, ascension is possible, you know, all of the things. And whether you're the beginning of your ascension or, you know, you're working through your layers, you know, there's Pleiadians that I know that are just there, and they have the catapultic thing had happened. They just knew. And it happened to me way back. And I was talking about this stuff years ago, and people thought I was crazy.
Now, when you said
in the early 90s, man, yeah.
So when you said, I've not known too many people that were early 90s. Shakina Rose is one I can think of. But I had someone on the other day that was earlier than that. I think it was in late 70s.
I started following Carol and, you know, Carol, you know, Many Lives, Many Masters, 5 Lifetimes. I've been following some of the older Alan Watts, Osho, like I've been following these guys since 21.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 45 now, and I went through layers of different things like Druidism, and Shintoism, and shamanism, and then Buddhism, and then Krishna conscious, and now I'm just me with a collective conscious, and it's all love. Yeah.
So what was I going to ask you? Wow, I can't remember in my head. That's a good question too. It'll come back. So, all right. So okay, God, it was right there on the tip of my tongue too. So you came across this ability to heal in a special way, and you knew that was part of your role.
Right. Well,
then,
I did, and it's really it's special, but it's not that special, in a sense of when you see that's why I've named everything, my poetry, my business, everything is named after the human condition. Even my Instagram is like human wave, because I understand the human condition, and I've had many different dimensions and many different risings in one lifetime. That when you go through things like I've lived through, you can only keep growing and ascend. I mean, if you have that mindset, we are either going forwards or backwards, or we're stagnant. Without no change, there's no growth. With stagnation, there's death. So I'm constantly evolving. And do I feel like I have ascended? I do. Most of the time, I'm happy, and it all boils down to love and service. And it's not that unique in a sense that once you love yourself and you know yourself, and that, like, I'm just a tattooed flesh bag, man. I'm just spinning around on this earth for whatever, when I walked in, and when I was set on my path, that it's once you surrender and you kind of like, if you could love people, if you could imagine that every day for 2 years I meditated on loving people like God loved people, and not having judgment, and not having anger, and not having these things, and trying to see my brothers and sisters as pure light. And even when you're getting slapped in the face as you're saying these kind of things, you're out of your mind. you know, um, you just keep loving no matter what. That you can actually go into the soul. And because what I find is that when people do come to me for help in a sense of soul healing, not like physical addiction or anything like that, but like the inner work, your inner child, your I am presence, and you're willing to go deep and dig, and you're willing to go with that person on the journey. See, that's the thing. We have so many people like giving webinars and charging money and writing books, but no one's showing anybody how to do this. This was passed down through me by action. It was not said, hey, go do this and then you'll understand it. It was like, no, let's do this together and then you'll understand it. That's why I only do 4 or 6 a year. Because it takes so much time and energy. Because we not only do you go in, but you go through the process with, and then you teach them as you're going through the process how to also become a wounded healer. And that's what I call myself. And that's the only label that I'll give myself, because I've had different ones over time, and none of them suit me anymore. Yeah. I'm just love. I'm an embodiment of love, period. So
I'm digging it. I'm loving it.
Right on. Yeah.
Beth Booslosh says she had the same experience in 1992. There's another one.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I was going to ask you, made a comment a minute ago. You've met Pleiadians who, what were you saying that now? Just so I can understand.
Sure. Pleiadians are considered the highest, most intelligent of the starseed, if you believe in the stardust theory that we have been planted many, many times over, and that the Great Awakening is happening. I believe it. You've got kids talking about quantum physics. Todd, I was the other day, I was in my group, and a teacher had shared this child talking about emotional entanglements, quantum physics, that we're all made of stardust and components and things, and love. And I said, is this your student? She said, yes. And I'm like, wow, like I got to share this out, because the awakening is happening. Whether, what I say about the sleeping, let them sleep. I'm supposed to know who I'm supposed to know. It's like, I don't go against source at all anymore. I try to every day. Like I have different things that I do. And in the morning, there's a lot that goes into my day before my feet hit the floor, so I can stay in a state of peace.
Yeah. So, and getting back to the Pleiadian comment, now you were talking about incarnated incarnated humans that you identify as Pleiadian?
I don't identify as Pleiadian. I identify as Anna, who I'm definitely, I'll just say a starseed. I don't take any race or anything.
Yeah.
But I have friends who are Pleiadian, and they shared the same kind of pretty much story as me.
Yeah.
The Pleiadians that I've met, they had been catapulted. They were, and it wasn't that they were even asleep in the cog of the matrix. These were upheavals of, they were also on the verge of death. And, you know, I had played with that for many years because I just really didn't think I belonged on planet Earth. Like, I felt so foreign. And the only time I felt okay in my skin was really drinking. And I haven't had a drink in 24 years. So I've been okay in my skin without any buffers, man.
Yeah.
So,
and when you made the comment, you said you met Pleiadians going through layers. Is that what you said?
No, Pleiadians who also have shed the layers of.
Shed the layers.
If you talk to Pleiadians, a lot of them will just also say they're a collective conscience of love. I don't identify it as that.
Oh, shed the layers. Okay, shed the layers as
right.
Okay, I got
shed
you.
the labels and the layers. You know, when you first start to ascend, you're dabbling in this, you're dabbling in that. You know, and you kind of are a truth seeker. That was me. And then it's just like all of a sudden, you know, I knew some things and I knew what I had to do. And the desire to die had left, and the desire to, I'm an Aquarius too. So by nature, I'm a humanitarian. You know, it's our age.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I think about it now, and I did boatloads of reading from 20, maybe 22 to about almost 40. And that was that search, that truth seeking. And then fast forward 10 years, and it's the upheaval and the traumas and everything that precipitates the story you're telling, the same energy, and so many others. That's a big sign of congruence, or that you're seeing more and more of it. People stepping up and telling these stories.
And that's it. You know, I was if it was not for Angela Mia White, okay, I wouldn't probably be on the show. You know, when someone says, and here's why, you know, she got called to do interviews, and I don't believe she's ever done one since. I think mine was, she did me first, and then she never did it again. And you know, from that platform, I started getting people to ask me questions, and then I started making friends, and then, you know, other people were saying you should go live about meditation, you should go live about this. So, and I started to, and it 3 months later I was on a radio show, like, for women's spiritual empowerment. It's just, I would have never by myself went live. And let me tell you, the first time that I went with Ange, you know, I think 2 minutes before I was having a panic attack, and as soon as I looked at her on the screen, everything was okay. And it was actually a beautiful, I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and it made me cry, because I actually was watching myself open up and get passionate about living in love and peace. And I've been working on a book, and I was like, that's the way I'll reach the masses. But apparently this is another way. So I'm stoked to be here.
Well, I think we were talking about on the previous show with Jeremy, how we're going into, we're in quantum now. So, so, you know, it's, you know, a conversation like this, or the one you had with Angie, you know, it carries a lot more, by a whole lot more than we ever thought. Sure. It's penetrating the entire grid. It's penetrating all our brothers and sisters, whether they know it or not. It's happening. I've seen it for 800 shows. I've seen it evolve. I've seen what's going on. I see it with other shows too. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this is what's exciting. So what does that, I mean, you woke up or began to 94. What's that trip been like, to sit back and watch all this stuff expand?
It's been amazing. The way I explain it, my friend Rabbit, we talk a lot, and she was going through some things, and how would I explain it is, if you look at the top of Mount Everest, you know, men, women, they love to climb, they love to do different things in nature, but Mount Everest is something big. And, you know, I read a biography. I like reading a lot of biographies, Into Thin Air. My first business was a bookstore, kind of neato. I did it way before Ellen. Yeah, but if you look at the top of Mount Everest as being where you want to be spiritually, connectedly plugged into source, knowing your purpose, stepping into your I am presence, claiming your claiming your freedom. There's so much freedom that comes from doing the soulology, the soul work, you know, and you look at that person as the top of the hill there, Himalayas. As you know, it's a many days of trek. It's almost 30. So if you're a quarter way up the Himalayan mountains and you never take the time to look down to see how far you've come, you'll never be at peace. If you're always looking to change and, you know, and try to one up yourself, our inner dialogue is very important. So how I see it is the most beautiful journey I've ever been on. And I've had 10,000 sorrows and 10,000 joys of the human condition. So that's how I started becoming a student of it, you know. And I was one of those kids. I was a kid who used to save up my lunch money for books, all spiritual in nature. And I had an ego even back then, in a sense. It was huge. I remember telling my grandma I wanted to be a sage and guide people who were weak and needed religion. So I got it tattooed on me when I was 19. I think you could see here, Truth Seeker. It's been in my peace fingers forever. It's burned and it's like been in there since I was in my 20s. Truth Seeker. Yeah, I've been doing it forever. And then here you've got I am impermanent. Here you got I am awake. I have a lot of writing on me, you know. And I had I am awake written on me in 96, and that's when I consider my catapult that happened, you know.
So no, do you have, I mean, if you go back to the comment about people doing this, people doing that, webinars and such and all that, but not really showing people how to do it. Can you give us a general run through on that? How do you heal yourself?
Sure.
How do you move your energy? Give us an idea. Can you give us an idea?
Okay. The first thing to do is with energy identification. It's like first, you know, you have to figure out when something comes to the surface and it comes to you and it's causing you to either lose sleep or be uncomfortable in your, it depends where you are in your ascension. But when it does come up, instead of like burying stuff alive, you know, I'm sorry. Things keep flashing up on my screen.
Yeah. So basically you talk to it.
I talk to it and it's an internal dialogue. And then once you talk to it, that's one part of it. And then you kind of make friends with it. And just because most people don't want to talk about their deepest, darkest stuff, they get away from it. They run from it. And that's going to stop us from growth, you know? And the thing is the more that you take, you know, the more like I know people that were paying some, you know, people $250 an hour for spiritual guidance and all these different things. And they're 6 months later, they're still at the same spot. And I say to you, sisters and brothers, you know, the sicker you stay, the more money they make. So here's my true message. If you don't have anybody who's giving you solutions to problems, run. If they're not getting in it with you and holding your hand, taking your hand, putting it in source's hand, it's no good. It's just no good. You know, it's like, you know, if you're leaving with more questions than answers, in my opinion, that's not a guru. You know, that's a charlatan. So the people that are doing the deal are getting in there, taking action, telling you how to take steps, you know, how to take the next step, what the next level is, what to expect when you're going through and you're transcending when you're doing the soul work, when you go to meet your inner child, when you're looking at your inner child in a picture, and you're literally having dialogue, you know?
Yeah.
And I've had people who look at their child pictures and say, I don't even recognize the person, and I understand because I was once that person, you know, completely, you know, talking about the duality, and everything is definitely syncing up nowadays, but it always hasn't been that way. The kind of stuff we're talking about now, Todd, 10 years ago, 20 years ago was heresy. It was like, you know, who knows, we would even be on the platform here, you know?
Exactly.
The computer, like the size of a business card, to transmute across the world, love and light, like crazy. So.
Wow. And then too, when you're showing them how to do it, I saw this fascinating picture yesterday, and it was an Asian doctor. It's an old picture that was in Antarctica, and he had his appendix burst, and so the pictures of him performing his own surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought, I thought it was an interesting.
Talk about self-surgery.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, and it was an older picture. I mean, probably 20 years old, but I thought of the energy of it. Wow. And he, you know, it showed him actually working on removing his appendix.
I'm an artist, so I get visuals and downloads like.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, then that's what you're talking about. You're basically performing the surgery with them, so they'll know how to do it next time.
Yeah, and it depends on the person and where they are, between 30 to 90 days to 6 months. You know, 30 to 90 days to 6 months to complete the surgery. It's not where you come in and you do a session, you know. It's we do what you and I are doing, about 10 hours a week, and there's different books involved that helped me, once I started to ascend, help make sense of what was happening, because there wasn't many people talking about it back then. I mean, the closest thing that you had was like a New Age section in Barnes and Noble, and then my bookstore.
or the used bookstores. Those are the ones I used to hit.
Yeah,
obscure books.
I still do to this day, looking for first editions of Edgar Cayce and some of my favorites. Yeah.
Now, so did you develop from those early years? Did you develop? I know you have gotten to the point where all the layers are shed, and your collective consciousness. Yep. But did you have certain aspects, let's put it that way, that were more prominent or more present with you along the way? Galactic, divine essences, that type of thing.
Sure, I've had a couple of what I would call spiritual awakenings, of a sense of not like a bright white light experience, more of a silent hush of, you're going to be okay no matter what, you know, just do this work type of thing. But there's been a few times in my life, I don't know, I'm being moved to share about it. I guess it's okay. In the past 3 years, I've had a tremendous amount of things happen in my life. 3.5 years ago is kind of when it all started, and I got diagnosed with endometriosis and onset uterine cancer, and lived through that. And going through that, my mom passed. I moved to Delaware, sold my tattoo parlor. I had it for 17 years, and then moved to Delaware. And then last year on my birthday, my father got hit on February 15th. And I was able to not only stay the course and not, you know, and I'm not saying this to blow any smoke up my own hiney, just folks, if you're out there and you're going through deaths and transformational of bodies and, you know, different things, it's okay. And you can rise again and again and again and again, because I have, you know, and I went through a 3-year period. You talk about a catalyst. And at the end of those 3 years, I'm like, well, what was next? And I'm like, okay, I'll do my online business. And then, Angela reaches out to me, and then my work becomes more about love and service again. Just, it always goes back to that for me, like when I had my shop, I had a big old place for a bonfire and bands and drumming. And, I did a lot. I was a tattoo parlor that did like, adoptions for pit bulls in the community. And, like it was a cool place to go, so, and then on the third floor where my office was, many soul surgeries took place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, so it's interesting too, because you kicked it off in 94, 95, 96. And then because there's many people, including myself, had a succession of traumas.
Right.
Either early in life, then that came back to their consciousness to be dealt with, or later in life, or sometimes both. But you had it after you were full blown for many years, and you had some more come around.
Yes, sir.
If you look at yeah, and I can tell by but if you look at that, what happened the more recent 3-year period versus the earlier period, what kind of info can you glean off of that? What was the difference? Was it the same thing?
There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. I mean, just the shedding of the layers and things like what happened to me in the past 3 years. Some folks, they're like, how are you sane? Or how are you still smiling, or whatever it might be, and then it's strange. Like people will call me and be like, like the week my dad had passed and got hit by the car. I had a friend call me for help, and she don't Facebook much, so she didn't know about my dad. And then I said something at the end of the conversation because he was still alive before we had pulled the plug. And I said, say a prayer for my dad. She said, what happened? Because she didn't even know. And she's like, oh my God, I would have never called. I can't believe that you were helping me. You got so much on your plate. I'm like, no, it's what we do. It's it's getting out of self. Always, when when the universe source puts someone in your path, if I have the time, my answer will always be, hey, brother or sister, how can I be of service? I don't think there's any higher purpose than spreading love in action of service.
Yeah. That's interesting too that you say that, because if I look at my own situation, if I look at other people, while they were, because I guess there are levels of the awakening and levels of the ascension. I look at mine as like 3 years pre-Morgan, 3 years post-Morgan, because like it was a totally different ballgame there. Right. So, but in those first 3 years, heavily shadowed, I was always helping people. I mean, that was a part of my day, was to express what I was getting, to share the love, basically. And I see it happening with other people, and have. So that's an interesting statement, because I used to say, in those early crazy days, I proved that you can lose your fucking mind and still find the light.
That's it. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's possible anytime, anywhere, at any place. And I feel like, I'm a lot less tense than other folks, but I by living a life of service and the ritual, like taking the action, in disguise, like it's just, when you're in the beginning of your journey and you're looking at different books, and you're in this day and age, or YouTube and they have so easy. We had to use the Dewey Decimal System, man. Like we had to use Dewey Decimal.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I feel like it anymore. Yeah, but when you get all scattered and all over the place, I say find someone who you resonate with, but it's simple. Like you're living in action. I think this is a great platform. You know, someone was talking to me beforehand. I'm like, well, it's kind of a show, and he does, and it's self-supporting through its own contributions. So, you know, it's a great way to keep spreading love and peace, and it's Todd in action. That's your deal, you know, and I think freaking it's one of the most altruistic things that you can do. One of the most selfless things you can do is take your time and give it to others again and again and again, and you just keep recycling energy. And the karma credit plan, man, you're like doing great. You know, you're doing great on that sense. But getting back to what I was saying about, you know, what we talked about earlier about being scattered, you know, how I was as my, I would say, 24-year-old self versus 45-year-old self, like had those things happen to me in my younger self, I'm not sure how I would have dealt with them. Probably the best I could have. But since I have, you know, I always say to people that I'm helping, you know, if you want to get good at soccer, you play soccer every day, right?
Yeah.
You practice every damn day. If you want to get good at living from 3D to 5D, you practice every day. You got to do it daily. You can't just say, okay, I've ascended, I'm cool. You've got to
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, man. You just gotta. Yeah.
That's another one. Somebody submitted a comment about they advocated that you still got 2 feet on the ground. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's really cool about your frequency, because even though you've been in the game for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, is that 10, 20, 25 years?
To be exact, it's July 15th of 1994 that I said a prayer to a deity that I didn't believe in that gave me results beyond my wildest dreams. Period.
Yeah.
The 2 years, the reason I call it 96, because it was me still running on self-will and still having a lot of fear-based vibration and just kind of like feel my way through opening. And then I met the right spiritual advisors, the right teachers, and just the world opened up. And I'm like 24 years of just a big old gooey tattooed mess of love.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So tell me about your because I don't want to forget that. People are going to want to reach out to you as they did after your shows with Ange. So where are you at? How do people find you? What are you doing with the various? I think you have a couple of pages, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have Human Condition Gifts, which is, so let's get some more sage out to the world there. A little bit. And, you know, I love sage, pesticide-free sage, sage that it's its own feather and fan, and no glue, no stems, no strings. I mean, smudging's cool and all, but I just not go. I just like selling. But yeah, so this is Human Condition Gifts. Everything there from singing bowls to malas and charged bracelets and things like that. And then I have 2 groups, Starseed Army of Light, and the other one is Ascending the Human Condition in 5D Plur, Living Your Best Life. And Instagram, same names. Actually, I have a placard I could just put on after our video.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, put it in the comments section.
Yeah, I've got some poetry pages, and just today I opened up a sound shaman page, and I'm not going to throw out the name there yet because I'm not ready to go completely live with it yet, but you know, doing vibrational healing, tuning forks, besides the soul surgery, because that's such a long process. Like I have tuning forks that clear energy in a room faster than sage. It's just like, and you know, it's neat, you know. And if you don't know about vibrational healing, literally through forks and through your 7 chakra system, through our life force system, through vibrational healing, like it's amazing, you know, and it's amazing one-on-one, and it's amazing even through messenger if you actually, you can actually feel the vibration of different things through the speaker. It blows air. It's some powerful stuff. And
have you ever done a mass one with
not
50,
yet.
60 people on?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we might as well,
Sure.
you know, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for all our brothers and sisters, right? This is how we learn.
Yeah, we can. You may want to take an earbud out once I get her going, because I'm gonna go with your heart. I'm gonna use my heart chakra bowl here. It's in 800 megahertz, and it's gonna be in D. And I'm gonna have her go a little slow.
I'm gonna turn the volume down.
Yeah. And actually, anyone who's watching, you may want to turn the volume down. Just you'll know when you can turn it back up. So, okay, we'll do a 60-second session here and see if you don't feel aligned within seconds. Let's take a deep breath together, like you're going underwater. Deeper. Hold it. Exhale. Begin regular breathing. Breathe in the vibration. All right, I'm going to bring you guys back in.
Fascinating.
How do you feel?
Very good, and it wasn't me.
Woo!
It wasn't me.
Vibrational bath.
I had you down on 50, and I turned it up to 84.
Yeah, it's at certain times it gets real high. It's the cleansing tones.
Yeah, it was nice. I have some friends that utilize that stuff. Kimberly Griffin in Sedona, she does some really cool stuff, but it's different than what you do. She plays like 5 at a time, and it's a different type of, but it's effective. It's very effective. I've seen her do it in front of groups. But I like this. This is very unique. Now, what is that?
Yeah, I use UFO drums and spirit drums as well, and I have vibrational tuning forks. I use Tibetan singing bowls, and everything that I'm playing, I have available on my website as well as the tuning forks for chakra balancing and cleansing. But unless you know how to use them, please don't order them.
What? So, don't order what?
The tuning forks.
Why?
Well, if you haven't had any training with tuning forks, I mean, I guess you couldn't hurt yourself, but with other folks, because you know, if you're a student of meditation and things, you already have breathing and sitting in seiza down and different things. But if you don't know about chakras and energy, and you just start taking these tuning forks and putting them on your third eye and heart chakra and all over the place, you're gonna get yourself scrambled. Yeah. So you don't want to order it, because they're made for chakra tuning. Yeah. It's a chakra tuning set. So yeah.
Well, do you see? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine, hon.
I was going to ask you, do you see a difference in what the energy of the universe today as opposed to 20 years ago? I mean, do you see it reciprocating quicker, reciprocating more accurately? I mean, cooperating, whatever you want to call it.
It's the synchronicity 5D is upon us. The Great Awakening is happening. We talked about it earlier. We are in, I feel like, a quantum reality right now. That is our reality. And, it's confusing, at first, to actually understand and really surrender to the belief of, hey, yes, I'm connected to everything and anyone and everyone. And I'm here. And I know I'm here to help people grow, and the kind of things that push the star seeds, the peace seekers, the truth seekers, the helpers, the healers, the yogis, the shamans, to do their work. I think that it's a huge difference from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we were still living in fear. I feel like a fear-based vibration, and the world wasn't ready. And the world is ready. We have beautiful beings of all kinds, of human beings, that have walked in and are just, in the past, I'm going to say since 2014, I have seen just, stranger than fiction stuff. Bottom line, because I'm out there, and I'm going to retreats, and I'm doing retreats, and I go to ashrams and sit quiet. I go to sabbaticals, I do all kinds of stuff for my spirit, because if you can't transmute something you don't have, so it's important for me to take care of me as well. So
that is the rule of the road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Regardless of where you're at.
Yeah.
Even if you're shut down, slowed down, doesn't matter.
No.
That works in all accounts. Yeah. Very cool, man. I'm really glad you reached out. We have to collaborate again. We can get in. Now, these tuning forks, I would picture a tuning fork, and you hit it and it does its sound, but you place them on the body?
Yeah, you put them on all 7 chakras, and there is a frequency for each chakra. And after the video, I can put up the information about each frequency. So a lot of folks are listening to frequency music to go to sleep. They go up to 800 megahertz, and these actually vibrate. And I don't know how else to explain it. I don't have my big set. I have 2 small ones right here. So if you this won't hurt. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Yeah.
But when you put it on, it's still vibrating through me, and I can still hear it in my ears. When I put it here and here, I can hear it very loud in my ears, like almost like the singing bowl. It's like, woo, 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 woo. And it's fine tuning your chakras beyond anything you could ever imagine. Basically, you're sending in healing vibration right through the portal of the chakra.
What would you say is the most amazing thing that's happened in this incarnation to you personally? The most amazing experience you've had, moment?
God, there's so many. I'm so blessed. Jeez, Todd, that's a good one. Any starlit night. There's some big ones, but I'm full of. I think that's another key to staying happy and whole is I'm in a constant state of gratitude. I'm always just like looking up at the sky, and I'm like, thank you. Driving, thank you. Waking, as soon as I open my eyes, thank you. I'm just so grateful, man. Probably the most. I feel most connected. The most. I don't know. There's so many different things.
That says it all.
You know what? I think it's just the best decision. I could go with that because there's been so many happenings, but I can tell you that a decision was moving from Baltimore, Maryland to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I'm a beach bum. I'm drawn to the water, like, in the energy of sand and sun, like you wouldn't believe. And I live in a magical place. My life is like it's literally like a vacation. And
do you know Tom Whitebear?
sounds familiar.
Tom Whitebear. He lives in Delaware, and I know Delaware's not that big.
No, it sure isn't. It sure isn't. It's
it is a
200
beautiful
miles
place.
line.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, he's very close. He's kind of one of those in the background. Yeah, he's one of the, well, I just know he lives there. And I think I've got 2 Facebook friends that live in Delaware. You're one and he's the other one. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to go into maybe a more specific topic or something in the near future and come together again, and we support you in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And expand awareness of who you are, what you're doing. Yeah. And would love to do that. Thank you so much for
Todd.
stepping up and coming out to the party.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. That's our 4th and final show today. I believe we'll have at least 3 tomorrow.
Healing, love, and light to you, Todd. You've been rolling, man. It's just been awesome. You've been cranking out so much positivity and love, man. I
told Morgan, she's actually, she's the better half of this thing. But I've been telling her it's getting easier. I've got the best job in the world now. All I got to do is show up and listen. That's it. That's really it. It's just and every now and then one of those galactic star families throws some kind of crazy question in my head.
Nice.
I asked this guy today, this 22-year-old kid this morning, I'm like, how powerful are you? I'm like, what kind of question is that? But I know there was some significance to it, So it's interesting. It's really interesting. It's a great seat to sit in, and I appreciate every single person I come across, because I get activated in every single episode. No doubt.
I love what you do, man. Keep doing it.
I will do that. I'm here to serve just like you. You take care. See everybody tomorrow. We'll see you again soon. Don't forget to put your placard up in the comments so everybody can find you.